Tonight on the Northwestern News Report, why library workers are unionizing. We have more on their demands for campus changes.
Plus, after long-awaited renovations, the Black House is back. We were there for the ribbon cutting.
And Medill says farewell to someone who gives us joy. Those stories and more tonight on the Northwestern News Report.
It's your news right now.
Good evening and welcome to the Northwestern News Report. I'm Andrew Rowan.
And I'm Elizabeth Betts. Right now, students across campus are continuously getting sick. Some fear it's COVID, others the flu. NNN's Melina Halkia has the story.
Northwestern students have been fighting respiratory infections since the start of the academic year.
I got sick the weekend before we were starting school.
Increasing numbers of students are visiting the Northwestern Health Center, where about 30% of visits are scheduled for flu-like symptoms.
I think a lot of us are, at least freshmen, the people that I know, a lot of us are sick.
But campus health experts say it's not the flu. According to medical director at the Northwestern Health Center, Dr. Kristen Abbott, there are no confirmed influenza cases on campus. It is upper respiratory tract infections, whose symptoms overlap with both the flu and COVID.
I think my biggest symptoms were a sore throat. I had a lot of congestion. I went through like 3 tissue boxes that weekend.
The virus spreads through droplets with close contact, and this year in-person interaction is increasing as students return to classrooms.
I think what we're seeing is people are likely getting together a bit more. We're seeing more people are traveling.
Dr. Adderson recommends continuing wearing masks, sanitizing, social distancing, and taking medication, but most importantly, getting the flu shot before Halloween to prevent the flu before the boo. Melina Halkia, Northwestern News Network.
Thanks, Melina. Andrew?
Thanks, Elizabeth. In Chicago, Mayor Lori Lightfoot ordered all city workers, including police officers, to submit their vaccine status to the city. Late Friday, a judge issued a temporary restraining order against the Chicago Police Union president. That order prohibits him from making public statements that encourage members not to report their COVID-19 vaccine status. Mayor Lightfoot said, quote, "I cannot and will not stand idly by while the rhetoric of conspiracy theorists threatens the health and safety of Chicago's residents and first responders." More on this story as it develops.
Yesterday, the city of Evanston announced a vaccine mandate for all city staff, effective November 15th. The policy will require staff to be fully vaccinated or provide weekly COVID-19 test results to the Health and Human Services Department. This includes seasonal and part-time workers, interns, volunteers, and contractors, according to the press release. 82% of the city's employees are currently vaccinated.
Last week, Northwestern's library employees joined for a big announcement. NNN's Logan Schijano has the details.
Accountability, transparency, and change. That's what library workers are demanding after announcing the formation of a union last Tuesday.
So we're forming our union for a lot of different reasons.
Right now we have 0% of the say in our workplace. The university has 100% of the say.
Plans for unionization began early on in the pandemic. Despite Northwestern announcing a budget surplus for the 2020 fiscal year, 1 in 5 library workers were furloughed, and the retirement benefits were cut.
It just all really happened so fast, and I felt like it happened with a lack of respect and care for the work that we were doing.
For some, like library assistant Drew Clower, the pandemic was the breaking point.
The austerity measures of the university has been an ongoing problem, and it was only exacerbated by the pandemic.
Thanks so much for being here.
Last week, a group of library workers marched from University Library to Provost Kathleen Haggerty's office, delivering a declaration of their demands. They say they have yet to receive an official response from the university. Northwestern tells NNN in a statement that, quote, "No one is available to talk further about the situation at this moment."
We know that this is going to be a fight. It's not going to be easy, but we're here to win.
The book of frustration is long, but library workers are anxious to begin a new chapter of collaboration and productivity. Logan Schijano, Northwestern News Network.
And Logan joins us now live from outside of the library. Logan, aside from having an equal voice at the negotiating table, what are some of the other priorities for the union moving forward?
That's right, Andrew. Obviously, library workers are frustrated, and their number one priority is going to be transparency. Like you heard in the package, currently, they don't have any say in negotiations with the university. If the university voluntarily acknowledges this union, they should have 50% of the say in conversations. Next up, there's a lot of other things that they want dealt with. Number one is going to be changing from merit-based raises to cost of living raises, which of course is going to help with the rapid changing economy in the pandemic. Next up, they want more professional development. Right now, for entry-level librarians, it's very difficult for them to move up the ranks because they don't have adequate training. Of course, the librarians also want to have the understaffing issues at the library addressed. A lot of librarians say that they're working more than 2 people's workload, even more for some. So of course, a lot of librarians were furloughed during the pandemic, so it's just making it more difficult for the librarians who still remain. And finally, they want a plan for the future. If there was a crisis like this to occur again, obviously it's unlikely, but they want to know that they're going to be supported in the case of a future pandemic or other global emergency.
And Logan, are students able to get involved with the library union?
Well, right now, the library union has not announced any official events coming in the next few weeks, but if students want to get involved, they say that they can definitely follow NUL_workers_union on Instagram and NUL Workers Union on Twitter. So students should definitely check those out if they're interested.
Logan Schijano reporting from outside of University Library. Thank you so much. We know you'll keep on the story for us. Elizabeth, over to you.
After 2 years, Northwestern dining and service workers making progress towards demands for change from Compass Group, the university's food provider. Employees voted Monday to ratify a new agreement with Compass. What that means for Northwestern workers, better pay, and more reliable health care.
My coworkers, they say this is like a dream. You know, because we didn't have anything. It was just rejections from the company.
These changes follow student and employee protests. This quarter, students also started wearing buttons to support employees. Now, employees are seeing change after many were laid off at the start of the pandemic.
Recent Senate elections have filled Northwestern's ASG's ranks with fresh faces. They're eager to engage with campus issues and enhance student voices. NNN's Chloe Cope has more.
On Wednesday, Northwestern's Associated Student Government, or ASG, met in person for the first time since March 2020.
Thank you to everyone who ran.
ASG is already engaging in campus issues, cutting Greek life Senate seats from 4 to 2 this year, and senators are expressing intent to compose legislation in support of NU dining hall workers. Sophomore Dylan Jost, Speaker of the Senate, also says he wants to improve ASG's inclusivity.
One of my broader goals is just ensuring that students' voices are heard and that we create a safe space and an open space for all students.
The new administration, headed by President Christian Wade and Vice President Ada Agbana, faced backlash last May over the proceedings of a Zoom meeting regarding the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, during which participants, quote, found themselves mocked and their perspectives delegitimized in the chat. And an ASG member shared the social media of a speaker she disagreed with. Jost hopes that being back in person will cater to clearer communication.
It'll be an easier space and a more controlled space in an in-person Senate.
Freshman David Aguilar, a recently elected Weinberg senator, campaigned on inclusivity.
My campaign really focused on increasing funding for clubs that support marginalized and low-income groups as a low-income student myself.
Known for sending daily good morning texts in the class of 2025 group chat, Aguilar campaigned via social media videos and direct communication.
So it was really a campaign focused on humanizing me.
Aguilar working on his first piece of legislation, calling for an increase in funding for accessible NU, and urging Northwestern students to make themselves heard.
Students have a voice. I will be that voice.
New voices, ready to make change. Chloe Cope, Northwestern News Network.
Thanks, Chloe. ASG meetings take place every Wednesday at 7 p.m. in the Northwestern room of Norris and are open to the public.
Coming up, take a look inside the newly renovated Black House.
And NU students are studying abroad for the first time since 2020. We go around the world to hear how it's going. We'll be right back. Welcome back. After a 2-year period of renovations, the Black House is finally open. NNN's Julia Richardson has late details from the dedication ceremony.
The Black House rededication is a homecoming for Northwestern's Black students, faculty, and alumni.
It's definitely been something that's really exciting, not only to experience, but just to feel internally.
Planning for the house's $4.5 million renovation began in 2016, but had some setbacks, including a global pandemic.
That the university had made this kind of investment in the Black House is a huge statement, I think.
And last Friday, over 200 members of the Black community joining together to celebrate a historic day.
I remember just great memories of fellowshipping with my fellow students here at the Black House.
Though there was a temporary space during construction, Northwestern seniors were the only class to experience the Black House before renovations. For senior Sophia Simon, this is full circle.
My freshman year, this was a place that I came to all of the time to study, to hang out, to see my friends, and to finally have it back in my last years. It's really bittersweet.
And all of this thanks to the B100, a group of alumni who took over the bursar's office in 1968 with a list of demands.
And one of them was requesting a space. So it is because of the B100 that we now have the Black House.
Several of the B100 present at the ceremony, being honored for their legacy. And although there is still work to do, the rededication is a sound of hope.
And details in the house, like this mural, depict the presence of Black culture on Northwestern's campus and serve as a reminder of what it took to get here. In the Black House, Julia Richardson, Northwestern News Network.
Thank you, Julia. The Black House is open from 9 a.m. to midnight on most days. Elizabeth?
Thanks, Andrew. Now on to homecoming. Throughout the week, Northwestern's Homecoming Committee and Northwestern's Alumni Association hosted events to engage students and alumni. On Tuesday, October 12th, students spoke to philanthropies and received free NU swag at Fall Philanthrofest. Wednesday night, students and alumni exhibited their purple pride by painting the rock while enjoying cheesy empanadas from an Evanston restaurant, La Cocinita. Thursday night, Northwestern hosted Chris Carter, a hypnotist, and on Friday, a spectacular pep rally, complete with student performances, free food, and activities at Deering Meadow.
To me, homecoming's always just been kind of a good pick-me-up in the middle of midterms week and all that. Free things and food always make me a little happier.
Safe to say, the Homecoming Committee created a fun week and prepared all that purple pride for the victorious Saturday homecoming football game.
And speaking of homecoming, we wanted to meet some of the alumni back on campus this weekend.
NNN's Jessica Ma catches up with some Wildcats in this week's edition of Rock Talk.
My name is Jessica Ma, and today on Rock Talk, we are asking alumni and students what their favorite Northwestern memory is.
Rock Talk.
What's your favorite Northwestern memory?
The freshman year, first quarter, I got a chance to be a part of a radio soap opera spoof on WNUR called Push L for Lobby.
Well, I'm obviously a part of the marching band, and I've really enjoyed being a part of that group. It's just such a great group of people to meet and was really helpful when I was adjusting to my first year at Northwestern and going to all of the games.
My favorite Northwestern memory was the night when I pledged my sorority, Alpha Kappa Alpha. We had to paint the rock.
So freshman year, the first time I painted the rock, I stayed up a lot of the night guarding it, fell asleep for a bit, woke up at dawn, walked down to the lake, watched the sunrise, asked the girl out who I'm now dating 2.5 years later, and came back and painted the rock.
When I was a freshman in 1987, I met my then friend, now husband, boyfriend in between.
I said, "You want a football? I'll get you a football." So I went down like, maybe one section, and I clapped my hands together, and the cheerleader guy threw the football, and I took it on, went over somebody's head, took the football back, and ran back up to my section and gave her the football.
And I still have the football.
And we still have the football.
Raw Talk.
If you have an idea for a future Rock Talk topic, tweet at us at @NNN_news.
Someone you didn't see in that piece, NBC News anchor and correspondent Joe Fryer. He's also a Medill and NNN alum. Fryer met with students to talk about his career and time at NU. A little fun NNN fact, he helped revive this show after a hiatus in the late 90s. Joe said the way these broadcasts get distributed is a little different than the way they did when he was a student.
Back in the day, literally someone would take the tape of the show and then drive it to the public access television station, and then we'd all gather around a TV that had the public access station and sit around and watch it on an actual TV. It was always just the coolest feeling in the world.
We agree that TV magic never gets old. A big thanks to Joe for taking the time to speak with us. It's always great when NNN alums return to Medill, right, Elizabeth?
Absolutely. And though homecoming featured the return of many alumni, some current Wildcats are leaving Evanston. Right now, Northwestern students abroad for the first time since March 2020. NNN's Lily Wolfson checks in to see how it's going.
After a break due to the COVID-19 pandemic, Abroad is back.
We're so happy to have a group of students, albeit smaller than usual, studying in a variety of countries.
Tully tells NNN that in a normal quarter, more than 400 students would be abroad. This fall, there are 198.
It's been wonderful to see our students being really responsible in the measures that they've been willing to take in order to be able to have their study abroad experiences.
NU students have flocked far and wide, from Turkey to Denmark to France and more.
I think if there was still a lot of restrictions here, I maybe wouldn't have considered it, but I just got really lucky with how everything turned out.
Junior Sarah Meadow says there are minimal COVID restrictions where she's studying in Denmark, and that finding someone with a mask on is rare. Junior Samantha Aguilar is in Istanbul and says Turkey is taking several precautions.
Everybody has QR code kind of thing that you scan in to get into places, and that's linked to like your vaccination, and like basically everybody at my university is vaccinated. And if not, they have to, get tested regularly.
The Global Learning Office says although there are COVID restrictions in many locations, students are having meaningful experiences while staying safe. Lily Wolfson, Northwestern News Network.
Aguilar says she was supposed to go abroad during fall quarter of her sophomore year and had to push it back due to COVID, but she believes it didn't change a thing. Andrew?
Thanks, Elizabeth. After years of efforts, the Kellogg School of Management announced earlier this month that they will expand their real estate program to undergraduates in the fall of next year. The new curriculum will be offered in two capacities. Real estate finance and investment courses will be added to both the Business Institutions minor and the Kellogg Financial Economics certificate. The program also includes a selective fellowship program consisting of real estate professional development.
There's access to real estate seminars. They would be able to connect to industry leaders in real estate.
The goal is to help all undergraduates have access to real estate education.
Even with midterms, there's no need to feel under the weather. More on it coming up.
What's the weather going to look like ahead of this week's football game? Liz Castello has the forecast.
Thanks, Andrew. So as we look to this week's forecast, we can see that as temperatures begin to fall, we are starting to get a hint of the fall season. Temperatures stay pretty consistently in the 50s, 40s range through Sunday. However, if you do have some studying you need to get done, I recommend heading to Deering tomorrow because that's when we're going to see a chance of rain, possibly even thunderstorms in the afternoon. We also have potential thunderstorms or rain on Thursday morning. And then as we move for the rest of the week, the air will get a little bit crisper, good time to pick out some Honeycrisp apples. So I recommend possibly going ahead with your fall activities later on. And that's it for the weather. Back to Andrew.
Liz, thank you so much. Stay warm. Elizabeth, we'll send it over to you.
Thanks, Andrew. With fewer COVID restrictions this year, club sports are back again in campus life.
Club sports are getting back into the swing of things, including games.
We went to Marquette last weekend, played some games there. It was our first time in a year and a half playing, so it was just really good to get back out there and not let COVID impact our team anymore.
Here in SPAC, many club teams are returning to practice for the first time in a year.
I think everybody was really pumped to get back out and keep playing and hanging out with everyone on the team.
Seniors, losing out on one of their last years playing, now building a community they hope to share with the underclassmen.
It's a real big change coming to college, especially here at the quarter system. So I was hoping to be able to provide that to a bunch of freshmen and sophomores, and I think that we've been able to do that thus far.
Being back on the field or on the court doesn't mean that things are the same as they were before the pandemic.
Playing with masks makes it a little bit more challenging, but it's not that big of a deal. I think we're really grateful just to be able to get court space even through the pandemic.
Things might be different, but the community is the same.
Most importantly too, I found a really good community on campus to support me. I made a lot of my really close friends through club volleyball here at Northwestern, so it's really just been all around awesome.
A team on and off the court. Olatunji Osha-Williams, Northwestern News Network.
Thanks, Olatunji.
Your favorite student athlete may now be posting about their favorite brands. I spoke with students on campus taking advantage of the new NCAA policy changes to name, image, and likeness. Northwestern student athletes are adding another title, entrepreneurs.
It's crazy.
Since July 1st, NCAA athletes have been allowed to profit off their name, image, and likeness.
For me, it was overwhelming just how many people wanted to reach out to athletes.
And some here at Northwestern are getting in on the action, like junior student and softball team member Sydney Supley, who became an ambassador for a gym in Wisconsin.
You really can't prepare until you're kind of thrown into doing business deals for the first time. Companies started reaching out and you're trying to figure out, can I respond? How does this work?
To clear some of that confusion, some NU students are partnering with athletes.
We wanted to step in and help them out just because we had that background in content creation.
Medill juniors Harrison Larner and Matthew Coronado shifted their company, 8 in the Box Productions, from sports analysis videos on YouTube to content production for student athletes. They say the new policy's reception has been mixed at Northwestern.
There are some athletes who are really trying to take advantage of it, and there are some athletes who are saying, I'm so busy, it would be absolutely awesome to be able to do stuff, but that's just another thing in my life that I can't possibly add. I want to focus on my sport in school.
The key to getting a deal? Social media. One football player partnering with a car dealership, another with a pizza shop. One softball player joining Cameo.
Happy birthday.
And more than a dozen athletes partnering with Barstool Sports.
Really any athlete, if they want to put the effort in and have the time, they can make $1,000 in a quarter.
Athletes playing on the green and making some too. Harrison and Matthew from 8 in the Box say that NIL is going to have an impact on recruiting. High school players are going to look for schools that can support them with resources on how to successfully manage their brand. Now, Northwestern did not respond to a request for comment about their programs, but student athletes said there was a meeting over the summer with guidance when the new rules went into effect.
Turning now to those athletes, Sports Night anchor Hallie DeVore joins me now. Hallie, thanks for being here. Let's jump right in. Homecoming was this past weekend. How did Northwestern look coming off of a tough game with Nebraska and being 0-2 in the Big Ten Conference?
Yeah, so obviously Northwestern came into this game 0-2, but Rutgers also came into this game 0-3 in the Big Ten Conference. So both of these teams were looking for their first win in the Big Ten. Northwestern started things off really slow this year, especially with their defense. In the past, their defense has been their strong suit and the thing that Northwestern kind of turns to when their offense is struggling. But this year, their defense has been off to such a slow start. But today, or not today, this weekend, they paid good respects to that 1995 Rose Bowl championship team, and their defense looked a lot better compared to that 2-week game before against Nebraska. They let up 56 points, and then in this game, they only let up 7 points. So they looked a lot better, especially offensively. Things locked in with Ryan Holinsky playing a full game, a lot more consistency there. But heading into next week against Michigan, number 8, they're definitely going to need to lock in a lot more offensively and keep things up defensively if they want that to be a competitive game. Hallie DeVore from NNN Sports Night, thanks so much.
Thanks, Hallie. Coming up, it's a Medill goodbye to a person who brought so much joy.
That was great. Thank you. Welcome back. Today, Medill said goodbye to a much-loved academic advisor, colleague, and friend. NNN's Jenny Huh with a tribute to Joy Fernandez.
Step into the Fisk 101 suite and you'll find a familiar face and candy jar greeting you. But only till today. Today marks Joy Fernandez's last day as a Medill academic advisor.
It's really irreplaceable to be able to have this experience where you get to work with people from the time that they start here as 18-year-olds and then be able to be there until they graduate.
This fall, she only worked in person 2 days a week and was in colleague Jessica Scott's office, but Fernandez says her 3 years at Medill were
exactly what I expected and more.
From answering students' panic emails about class registration to actually meeting them to friendly conversations.
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad.
Fernandez did it all, every single day.
I've joked with people around the office that I used to think that students enjoyed working with me or meeting with me until I heard of how they met with Joy.
With appointments that are always
very casual, very fun, very friendly.
October 3rd, 2018, Fernandez walked into Medill Career Services along with her adored jar of candy.
It's usually like towering with candy and everything.
This advisor of about 300 students says her goal has been to help others as an educator and friend.
Somebody who was there to just ask good questions and to like get to know you and to be here as a support network, and that's all I ever really wanted.
And on Monday, community members gathered here in Fisk 101 to say bye to Joy via hugs and celebratory snacks. With Joy and for Joy, Jenny Huh, Northwestern News Network.
A very bittersweet tribute. Thank you, Jenny. Fernandez will be working remotely for Sprout Social. It's a Chicago-based social media software company as a customer success manager. She says she's only a LinkedIn message away. Now, Elizabeth, I know she was your academic advisor. What does she mean to you?
Yes, she was great. I mean, she really got me started on my Northwestern journey, and I never went to anyone else, so she was nice.
We're going to have big shoes to fill in the coming October.
Definitely.
That's all the time we have for tonight. I'm Andrew Rowan.
And I'm Elizabeth Betts. For all of us here at NNN, good night, and thanks for watching.